what we do, we need some idea of the movie we're seeing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Because you haven't even seen the trailer.
I haven't seen the trailer, the teaser.
The poster?
I think I've seen the poster. It came up on my IG.
What's this movie called?
Net?
Yeah. Welcome, everyone, to Before and After the Movies.
My name's Aman.
I'm Antony.
And today we will be doing
A new movie! It's not out. We're going to the theaters to see it.
6 months removed from The Invisible Man.
Could we have picked a worse time to start a podcast about movies?
Oh, did we ever have our blockbuster season schedule lined up for you guys?
Yeah, we had it all written out. We've been watching fucking Scoob and shitty fucking... What else have we watched? In the Dark of Night or something.
Oh, The Vast of Night.
It's just been VOD season. Upgrade.
Oh my god.
But...
You know what? For everyone who stuck with us, here we are.
Yeah.
The worldwide release of probably the most anticipated film of my life.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the only anticipated movie of the summer.
I got Wonder Woman coming out.
What's coming out?
I think Wonder Woman's
like
coming
November,
out.
I think.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was August 31.
I think Bond is also in November.
Yes.
This is a new movie. And I think we had this discussion before, how I think the strategy is less theaters probably open, less seats per theater, but more showings and less competition. So they're thinking that can balance it out. This is kind of the experimental movie to see if theaters can get back to the way they
Antony
were.
and I got our masks.
Yep.
We're symptom free.
Yep.
We are ready to rock, ladies and gentlemen. Tenet.
The buzz is real. I've got the butterflies, like the pre-movie butterflies that I used to get when I was a kid.
I've never been more excited.
Feels like pre-Revenge of the Sith right now.
Oh, baby. And I guess just a note here that Auntie and I are both flying pretty much blind right now.
Yep. I've seen the first teaser, and I think I may have seen the second trailer, but I'm getting them all mixed up.
I don't know the cast. I don't even know the plot. And we definitely don't know the RT score. So without further ado, let us dive in.
That's right. Could this be what would we do if we leave the movie and we're like, it was really good, not the best. And we check the RT and it's like 52.
Not Nolan's best, but you know.
I wanted to spend some time on this podcast just reflecting, because this movie's so hard to predict, because we both know so little about it, and because Nolan's movies like are so inherently hard to predict anyways. I thought it would be a good time to kind of reflect on Mr. Nolan's career.
Oh, 100%.
Just chat about some of his work.
Yeah, and we're quite familiar with that, actually, if we want to take it back, take a road down memory lane to our old YouTube channel, the recap show.
Yeah. And I've got one piece of trivia that I wanted to kick us off with, and a little bit of fun facts about one of the best directors of our time.
Hit me.
The first one is, what was the name of Christopher Nolan's first movie?
Memento.
Incorrect. I knew you were going to say that.
You quizzed me on that like 3 weeks ago.
No, his first movie was called Following.
Oh.
It was officially released in theaters in the UK on a budget of like
it doesn't really count.
But yeah, his first real feature film was Memento, but I thought I'd just be a bit of a twat and trick you with that.
Fair enough.
Did you know that somehow Christopher Nolan's only 50 years old?
Really?
And he's directed 11 films, 2 more than Quentin Tarantino.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Hey, good for Chris. He's Warner Brothers golden boy now.
Yeah.
Right? They hand him a blank check and they say, make us some money.
Tell us when it's out. Zero studio interference. He has final edit. I think Jonathan Nolan's been writing a lot of his screenplays. He hasn't worked with him since Interstellar. So he
skipped him for Dunkirk?
Yeah, no producer credit on Dunkirk and no producer credit or writing credits on this film either, which I thought you'd find interesting.
Oh, Jonathan's not on this one?
No, I think Chris Nolan wrote and directed this one.
Really?
Yeah, no Jonathan Nolan. He's busy doing average Westworld.
I heard season 3 is pretty good.
I've heard it's pretty average.
All right.
HBO renewed it for a 4th season out of petulance because they just can't admit they had a failure. No one watches it.
We got a sick cast this time.
Error Paul! Nobody likes that show. It's not good.
People always say if you get past season 2, season 3 is a bit rewarding.
Right.
Frankly, I finished season 1 and I was like, you know what, that was enough for me.
Yeah, it's not my show. Every episode feels like the pilot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just like,
give me something. Give me a morsel. Give me a cliffhanger.
Pay
please.
something off. Stop setting things up all the time. Anyway, not to rag on Jonathan Nolan too much. Back to Chris. Did you know that he's the youngest director to get the hand and foot imprint treatment outside the Chinese theater in Hollywood?
I did not know that.
Yeah. Now you do.
Thank you.
What is another question I'd like to ask you? Give me your top 3 Nolan films, starting from third to first being the best.
Okay, number 3, Inception.
Okay. Have you got that written down already?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Number 2, Interstellar.
Okay. Wow, I respect that.
Number 1, The Dark Knight.
Yeah. So you've gone Inception, Interstellar, The Dark Knight. Very respectable. I think I'd probably go with Memento, Insomnia, and The Prestige.
I knew you were gonna fucking. You guys can see the face he's shooting me right now.
No, I almost want to agree. I think I'd have Dark Knight number 1, same as you.
Mm-hmm.
Interstellar number 2, same as you. And then I would probably go with Batman Begins, man.
Batman Begins is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I remember when it first came out, I was like, this is what superhero movies can be.
I remember going to see it for Andrew's birthday party, friend of ours.
Mm-hmm.
This is like 2005, so I would have been 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like prime in that like Star Wars, like Spider-Man kind of phase.
Mm-hmm.
So at first I started watching it and I'm like, this is kind of boring. I'm not really into it. Like, where's the action? And then by the end I was like, something just happened like inside me. I'm not sure what it is. And then it was actually like, it was a more mature way of looking at film that hadn't quite developed yet, and slowly it did. And Nolan, so I credit Christopher Nolan massively with like, I think a lot of young people's like development into like more intellectual cinema, but still having a lot of fun.
Yeah. He kind of pioneered the gritty reboot too.
Yeah.
So I think Batman Begins, and we saw Casino Royale.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
People are still kind of copying.
Exactly. People are still trying to capture that kind
formula.
of like, let's
Logan.
Let's go superheroes, but with realism. Where can we take this?
And like, let's actually develop some themes. Let's have them be a bit more flawed. And his characters, there are issues with his movies. And one of them, I wanted to see what you think of this, is sometimes when I'm watching a Nolan movie, it's almost like they have too recognizable an identity. Like some of his movies, eventually it's kind of like, am I just watching the same thing?
Yeah.
They cut at weird times. He shoots them all with like the exact same kind of like look, that kind of.
I mean, but that's what you're asking a director to change his style? Or?
Yeah, but then we look at, I think people compare like Tarantino and Nolan as maybe like the two best modern filmmakers.
Tarantino films kind of look the same.
But when he hops genres, you really feel it. Even though you can feel it's a Tarantino movie, I still feel like his movies kind of look different and behave differently. Whereas,
you know what? I think I disagree with that.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, like when you're watching a Tarantino movie, you're always like, this is a Tarantino movie through and through. And you ask someone like, why did they do this stylistic change? Like, Tarantino. Hey, it's Tarantino.
Yeah, but with Nolan, it's like, fuck Nolan, dude. Yeah. No, it just seems like he kind of picks that muted color palette.
That's fine. I'm not saying one's better than the
Lots
other.
of wides.
But I'm definitely not saying that like every Tarantino film is super unique, while every Nolan
but
film
you
looks the same.
look at Kill Bill 2 versus Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like they don't look the same. The aesthetic's not the same.
Well, it's like different. It's different setting.
That's what I'm saying. Nolan likes to set his movies against like cities. They're all cities every time.
Yeah, because Interstellar took place in a city.
Yeah, the 3 Inception, this movie, Batman,
The Prestige, no.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna hit me with that. Insomnia, definitely.
Oh yeah, not. Dunkirk, big city in Dunkirk.
Okay, you know what? I was wrong about that.
Thank you.
His action is sometimes questionable. His hand-to-hand combat.
His hand-to-hand is a little bit rough.
Is clunky.
His dialogue is a bit weird. And I was rewatching The Dark Knight.
Dark Knight Rises has really weird cuts. All the scenes end really suddenly, and like characters kind of say things that are never really followed up on. Like, why does he wear the mask? Like, who? How does he know? Who?
Yeah, it's weird. That was a weird dialogue scene.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel unintentional. It just feels like Nolan knows his movies and his world so well that sometimes I think he forgets to like catch us up a little bit.
Okay, yeah. But then obviously Christopher Nolan. Actually, maybe I'll get into some fast questions for you here.
Right.
Question number 1: how on the nose will the exposition scene be?
Very.
Yeah. I mean, he takes a lot of shit for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of my fast questions was, will Michael Caine appear in more than one obligatory exposition heavy dinner table scene?
Yes. Number 2.
Let's go back and forth with the fast questions.
Okay, sure. Will we get a JGL cameo?
No.
Okay.
Is Robert Pattinson ultimately a good guy or a bad guy?
Oh, fuck. Good guy. I don't know though.
Yeah, I know you don't. That's the whole point of this podcast.
Okay. I got one for you. And if you know the answer, You just say pass. Okay.
I can't say pass. It's against the fast questions code.
If you know the answer, you say pass. If you don't know the answer, then you take a guess.
Okay, fair.
What, how, or who is Tenet?
I don't know, so I'll guess.
Okay.
I have that as one of my theories, as my predictions.
Okay.
I think Tenet is a mathematical formula that can coordinate an area and run it through time.
Okay.
That's what I think Tenet is.
Yeah, so I guess we should say what we do know about this movie, or what I know is something to do with time. That's about it.
I think it's an equation that some government. I have no idea if this is right.
Okay,
I just think it's like a government of some sort. It's two opposing forces that we're gonna not know which one's good, not know which one's bad, and they're trying to master this formula that will basically allow them to completely manipulate time and like change events and rewrite history.
Okay.
And I think that John David Washington, JDW, I think he is kind of somehow he is like immune to it or has some kind of knowledge. Something makes him like important.
Oh, so you think it's government versus person?
I think it's government versus government trying to get this guy to like be on their side. So I think there's going to be a lot of like morality choice that he has to make. So it's like, who do I trust? I can't trust anyone in this like espionage. It seems like it's kind of spy.
Oh, really?
Who can I trust? And ultimately, I think he has like some kind of gift. Like maybe he can harness this power. But I don't know. Like I could be completely wrong. I don't really know what this movie's about. It's interesting that Tenet spelled backwards is Tenet.
Yeah, it's palindrome.
So should see the face he's shooting me right now. So I feel like maybe it's one of those movies that ends at the beginning, begins at the end.
Okay.
A bit of a loop situation going on.
Yeah, I wonder where he's gonna, because I'm sure in the back of his mind he's like, okay, well, I can't make this too similar to Inception.
Yeah,
because the jokes will be made.
Yeah,
the mind, like blending them together in your mind, will be made. So I'm sure it goes in a much different direction. But when I'm picturing what I'm gonna expect in this movie, I am kind of like,
it's clear that it's like more similar to Inception than his other films. Like I think he's visiting that kind of action. What do you call it? Like a spy.
I was gonna say like
thriller,
mind
like a
bending
heist. Heist thriller. But I feel like he likes to tackle different genres with every film. So there's another element. Maybe it's more like a war situation, and that kind of ties into my name that opening scene.
Okay. Didn't think of one.
Yeah, I have a feeling that this is just a complete guess again. I think John David Washington is like military of some sort, like special task force, kind of like a James Bond type figure, but a more realistic version, not like the suits and all that, but like going on missions. And for some reason, I think that he is basically going to be doing like a drug raid of some sort in like a deserty kind of locale late at night. They break into a house and he's trying to rescue someone and he basically gets killed.
Okay.
I think he's just going to get like murdered. And then somehow that he like wakes up somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my opening scene.
Yeah. It's kind of similar to what I see as well.
Which one have you prepared?
My opening scene is exactly the same as yours. Yeah. Wow.
Some kind of icy locale.
There's going to be a top spinning. No. I think there's going to be some sort of mission, and then our hero is going to die. I don't know if that's going to be our Pats or John David Washington. And then it's going to like some sort of gruesome rewind sequence. Yeah,
well, that was my last minor criticism of Nolan. Is I wish that he would like delve into the 18A like our world. All his movies are very like, especially Dunkirk, like that kind of bothered me. It's like you're making this brutal retelling of the Battle of Dunkirk, and yet there's like not a drop of blood in the entire movie. I'd like to see him dabble in that one day.
Yeah.
But what you kind of joked about there ties into my name that closing scene.
Oh my God.
And I think I've got
That's not even a segment.
Yeah. I think John David Washington's been through hell and back. Arpats is dead. And he's like running and he's like on a mission and we'll know so much more. I don't know how this all ties together. But he bursts into Dom Cobb's house at the end of the spinning top scene, flattens the spinning top, and he's like, I need you. I think this takes place in the same fucking universe as Inception.
Could you imagine?
I think that's how it ends.
If Leo shows up in this
Dom Cobb
movie.
will make an appearance in this movie.
Oh my God.
It's been 10 years exactly since Inception.
Oh my God.
And then the third is going to be like a Dom Cobb, John David Washington like team up heist movie. One with the power to infiltrate dreams, the other one with the power to infiltrate time.
That would just be insane.
Yeah, it's gonna be bonkers. And that's why Nolan was like so antsy about this being like a theater experience, because I think he's just got this big trick up his sleeve. It makes sense.
It does make sense. I don't know.
None of the cast are the same except for Michael Caine. So I think we might meet Michael Caine in the movie not knowing that it's the same character, because you didn't know shit about him. He was just like, was he like a physicist or something?
It was his dad.
Yeah, but he was a physicist in the movie.
I thought he created the tech.
Yeah, so I think we'll meet him separately. But
okay.
And we'll realize that he's the same character after. He's the one sort of connective tissue between everything.
That's pretty... I mean, it's a hot take.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take that away from you. My ending scene would be, it's going to be exactly the same as the opening scene.
Yeah, but with so much more context added to it. You're like, oh, God.
Yeah.
But maybe one thing's different.
Oh, yeah. He's able to change one.
Bye, honey. The Bourne music. Another kind of fast question I have for you, and I'm a bit hesitant. I don't think this is a cast member that I feel like you know, but...
Is it Kenneth Branagh?
Yes, it's Kenneth Branagh. How did you know that? Will Kenneth Branagh die in some kind of reverse death? Like a reverse impale?
Yeah. We mixed up the formula! Yep.
Don't find Tenet. No, the last thing he says, Tenet. Bit of blood spilling out of the mouth.
Save Tenet.
Is Tenet Matt Damon?
Yeah.
Will we be faced with a beautifully frustrating but equally beautiful, open, and ambiguous ending?
Yes.
Oh, Chris.
Are we going to be arguing on the drive home?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, Tenet isn't what you say it is.
No, honestly, Andy, I don't know if you picked up on that one part.
What's your predicted rating out of 10? I feel like I'm a little worried it's gonna be disappointing.
Like I've pretty much, I think every Nolan movie I've walked out of theaters, I've given a 10. So
yeah,
so a 10.
Dunkirk, I'd give like an 8.
I don't know. The IMAX experience shot a 10 for me. Obviously, if I were to go back on it, knowing what I know, or like not being super hype out of theaters, I might reflect it, but it still sits at a 10 for me. It was just gripping from start to finish.
Yeah, it really was. It was a really good film. Interstellar, I'll never understand the hate. I understand
it was love. It's like, fuck off.
It's just such a beautiful movie.
Yeah, it really is.
And the cinematography,
so ambitious,
the acting, the scope. Oh man, that was something else. I just adore. I haven't seen that movie in forever. We should watch that sometime.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in like maybe 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Do
you have any other fast questions for me?
Fast questions? No, that was the last one.
Okay, I have a little note here. With the exception of the Batman movies and some of the older ones, we usually don't see like a human villain in Nolan's movies. So like Inception, it was this heist. That was like the antagonist was we have to do this.
Right.
Dunkirk was obviously we have to get these men home.
Right.
Interstellar was we have to find a planet. So it's always like hero versus situation. But Tenet, do you think they're gonna go hero versus situation, or do you think we're gonna get a villain?
No villain, unfortunately. I feel like Robert Pattinson will be maybe like represented as that, but I feel like ultimately him and John David Washington will like be teaming up throughout the movie. It's hard, man. Like he's never really built up like a villain of a movie. I guess the closest would be The Prestige
or Joker.
Aside from Batman.
Aside from Batman, yeah.
But like The Prestige was kind of like, it was man versus man, yet neither one was really presented as like an antagonist and a protagonist.
They were kind of
doing
their separate things,
depending whoever side like you were on.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I guess Hugh Jackman became the real antagonist of the movie. But it was kind of like the fall, like the Greek tragedy of a man who's obsessed with his like thirst for power. I guess.
Yeah.
So he's like great with his themes, like they're unbelievable. So like this one, I'm excited to see what John David Washington like brings to the table. I haven't seen Black Klansman.
Yeah, well, he was quite good in it.
Yeah, it seems like a really meaty role. I just finished the book, and obviously like he don't laugh. I read stuff.
Just had to shoehorn that one in. We saw the Instagram post, Anthony. The viewers don't need to listen to it again.
Oh my god! What was the last book you read? Like a Very Hungry Caterpillar.
Hunger Games.
But yeah, he was in. What else was he in? There was another big release. But you know, he's the son of Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
I didn't know that till today.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And he was like a pro football player.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And then
I find it a little bit crazy right now.
Bill started running dry. Hey, Dad.
Okay, but you have to go to school for it.
Yeah. Exactly.
No,
you have to do the New York theater scene first.
That's pretty good. I find it a bit interesting that you mentioned John David Washington quite a bit. No love for our Pats today, Anthony?
I think that John David Washington is like the lead of this movie.
Okay.
And Robert Pattinson's a supporting character. I know what Robert Pattinson can do.
He's so hot right now.
He is. And I have a point. It's one of my trivia points here. Is Robert Pattinson about to become the biggest star in Hollywood?
I think so, dude.
A Nolan original, like mysterious but big role. Batman.
Fuck. And then
Oscar buzz with The Lighthouse.
He showed his chops. Like, the sky is the limit for Robert Pattinson right now.
And there's something about people enjoy actors that kind of had like that rocky start.
Yeah.
Like a Channing Tatum, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you started out as a bit of a joke. And
Matthew McConaughey.
Zac Efron is hasn't really fulfilled that, but has done well. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey, great example. Robert Downey Jr. to an extent.
Yeah. People will look back and be like, hey, let's watch Twilight. Do you know it's got Robert Pattinson
Yeah,
in it?
exactly. So we'll see what he does. Like Nolan, I think, is just amazing at picking actors.
He picks them early too, because he picked McConaughey after Mud, but before Dallas Buyers
and
Club.
then he just blows them up.
Yeah, exactly.
Christian Bale, like, I guess that was kind of a more on the nose one, but like Heath Ledger, we don't even need to talk about what a great eye that was. Joseph Gordon-Levitt hadn't really done anything like that.
Well, he blew him up for sure.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Tom Hardy, he definitely saw early on. Harry Styles was an odd one, but he was good in that movie. Yeah,
he hasn't blown up off of it, but
yeah.
People were like very skeptical of that. I think Robert Pattinson, like, he knows what he's doing with Robert Pattinson.
Oh yeah.
And even John David Washington, like, we don't know much about this guy.
No, I think we're going to see two. I don't think performances are going to be the weak point here. It's not going to be like Katie Holmes and Batman Begins. Replaced.
Yeah, that's what I think of Katie Holmes. But no, like, I can't wait to see the performances. I think there's going to be no issues there. I'm hoping the action is like nice and slick. We're seeing it in IMAX, and we all know Nolan's a huge fan of that art form and probably utilizes it.
And we're seeing it in 70 millimeter.
Are we?
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
And the theater, because of COVID restrictions, there's like 30 seats.
That's going to be intimate.
So
I can't wait.
I know.
Cannot wait.
The smells. I hope there's going to be posters there. So I'm gonna snag a few.
If we get a poster, I'd be so stoked.
Yeah. We deserve a poster.
We do. It's been hard, and I can't wait to see this movie. Let's see what else I got here. I got one piece of trivia here. Which is the only film that garnered Nolan an Oscar nomination for Best Director?
Inception.
No.
Really? What was it?
Dunkirk.
Really?
Yeah. He's never won an Oscar.
Yeah, Oscars are too snooty.
He's still a bit mainstream for the Oscars, too blockbuster.
Fuck off.
Give the man an Oscar. He knows his way around, like, the way he just like stitches his movies together.
Oh yeah, he owns that camera.
Yeah, he does.
Do you think Chiwetel is a little bit slighted he didn't get the call?
Honestly, I think so.
I think he is. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've got my 2 truths and a lie segment.
Okay.
I'd like you to look away while I say all of them because I feel like you're looking for tells in me.
Okay. My eyes are closed.
Okay. Number 1. Nolan once had the idea to shoot a project over numerous years in the vein of Boyhood. Nolan considered Tom Cruise for the lead role in Inception. Christopher Nolan is somehow only 50 years old. Oh, I already dropped that by accident. So.
I know 2 and 3.
One truth and a lie.
I know 2 and 3 are true. So number 1, this over the course of a few years.
No, that's true.
Fuck. Did I just make up that Tom Cruise thing?
The Tom Cruise thing is just made up, but how believable.
Could you imagine if
he would have killed that movie? Now listen here. Run! Yeah! Yeah! You don't know how to get in this dream.
I'm in the dream, not you. I'm in the dream.
I'm losing grip. Don't jump!
The train is coming.
It's very simple, okay? A few rules.
You create the world of the dream.
What was Ellen Page's character's name in that movie?
Fuck, I don't know.
You got time for a drink? I want to show you something.
Okay, easy there, Heath.
I feel like Heath Ledger probably would have got that lead role potentially as well. If he hadn't passed away.
I think Heath would have been
Nolan's
golden boy.
A Nolan regular.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe even Interstellar. Wow,
Ooh.
That's crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird though when he picks like the already established names. Like Matthew McConaughey was already a big name.
Mm-hmm.
Leo was a big name. He doesn't seem to work with those guys again. He hasn't worked with either of those two since.
Yeah, that's true.
Or does he like to kind of pick the faces that aren't so like hugely recognized?
Usually he repeats his supporting cast.
Yeah, exactly. Like
we got Tom
Topher Grace only has the one role, but
Tom Hardy,
Michael Caine is I think in every single movie.
Kenneth Branagh now.
I don't really see the whole Kenneth Branagh thing.
He's an artist.
Is he?
Yeah,
he's like a decent actor. I've never been like, oh,
he's a great director.
Not really.
Thor.
Not that good. Murder on the Orient Express, questionable at best. The new one's coming out. There's a sequel to that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Something on the Nile?
Yeah, that'd be a fun little pod. Death on the Nile.
Death on the Nile.
Yeah.
I don't really like Kenneth Branagh. The best performance I've ever seen him was Gilderoy Lockhart in Harry Potter.
Didn't he win an Oscar?
You know who that role was offered to and turned it down? Hugh Grant.
Oh, that would have been...
Yeah, he would have done so well now.
Yeah.
This is Kenneth Branagh's last chance as far as I'm concerned.
Oh my god, Kenneth Branagh is so established, and just because you don't know like 7 of his movies doesn't
What else is he direct? He directed
I'm pretty sure
else.
he won an Oscar because he directed and starred in a Shakespeare movie. I think it was...
Like Hamlet, wasn't it?
Was it?
He directed a Disney movie recently, didn't he? Oh, what was like he directed like a big blockbuster. Was it like, it wasn't Lion King?
Thor?
No, like really recently.
Oh.
We're forgetting a huge movie here.
I'm too scared to look at it now. I don't want to open that IMDb app.
What was it?
Tenet spoilers.
I'm gonna look it up.
Oh my god, you're going dangerous right now. Don't you dare read his characters. Kenneth Branagh dies first 5 minutes in Tenet.
Where was Kenneth Branagh in Inception?
Oh my god. Oh, Anthony, stop what you're doing right now.
Oh, Artemis Fowl.
Oh no.
And Cinderella, the 2015 one. That's what I was thinking.
I was gonna say Artemis Fowl, but I didn't want to.
Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit with Chris Pine. The guy's a garbage director.
Kenneth, if you're listening, this is your last chance.
Yeah, he's picking up some fat paychecks from these movies, though. Artemis Fowl. Apparently that movie's atrocious.
Yeah, I told you. You wanted to do it.
I did.
After our no more children's movies, this guy texts me, Artemis Fowl this weekend?
I saw it on a subway or the SkyTrain. All right, then. I don't think there's any more talking we can do for such a vague movie. I think we're going to have a pretty beefy post show, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. Lots to talk about.
Exactly. This might be one where you want to watch the movie before you hit up the post show.
Don't listen to the second part of this if you haven't seen Tenet.
Okay.
That would actually upset me.
All right. I agree.
All right. We live in the world of the podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you in 3, 2, 1.
Get podcast.
Back.
Don't forget the thing. In Munich.
Oh my god.
We're back.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back from our viewing of Tenet.
Yes.
Before we get into it, let's do out of 10s here, Anthony.
Sure. Okay.
Buckle up. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, 6.5.
Yeah, I was debating the 6.5 as well.
Yeah. You heard us right.
There's so much to go into here. First of all, for anyone who didn't get it, if you've just seen Tenet, I'm sure you understood that return joke.
You can't hear shit.
More so than any of his previous films. I think you mentioned that it's part of his technique.
Yeah, he purposely did it in Interstellar and Dunkirk.
Dark Knight Rises, he did it. That's when he got really into it.
Yeah, and now it's just like, Chris, you took it way too far, man.
You can't fucking hear a word.
It's brutal.
And it makes sense in a spaceship launch, or in the heat of a Dunkirk battle, but in a restaurant.
Yeah, when you're trying to explain the concept, your gimmick.
Yeah, and when you've already got such a complex plot, like one of the most... Okay, just to sort of dive into it here.
We should mention, for the first time in Before and After Movies history, all 15 episodes, we couldn't do the post show after we
were mentally drained.
Yeah, we couldn't think of anything to say.
Yeah.
Like, we were just messes.
I was like, we're just gonna be spouting nonsense.
Exactly.
If we try
We're
and
gonna
talk
make
about
fools
this.
of ourselves. So we took a beat. We took about 24 hours.
Yeah.
We're meeting up again day after. Hopefully deliver a bit of a better review here.
Yeah, and hopefully add some form of clarity if you're listening to this after watching Tenet, because I don't care who you are, you're confused.
Yeah. And let's just say that right now. We're gonna assume that you've seen it.
Yeah. Like,
Don't expect me to give you a 10-second plot recap.
yeah, it's impossible.
Anthony, maybe before we nitpick it, let's just kind of touch on the overarching things that were done well, and that were not.
I got a
done
question
well.
I'd like to ask you first.
Okay, sure.
How did the movie compare with what you expected? Like the first sort of 10 minutes, you like, this is...
I thought the intro opera scene, I had a big old grin on my face.
Yeah.
I was like, here we go, let's go. And then after the title crawl, I guess you would call it.
They got right into the dialogue, and that first scene was literally inaudible.
Yeah.
Like,
and I was focusing so hard, dude. I was okay. I'm ready. I'm gonna understand this fucking movie.
yeah, but there's characters that like, because there's a big opera scene going on. It's raided by this like militia type group. They're killing people. They gas the entire place. Everyone falls asleep, and all of a sudden there's other operatives.
Yeah, the whole thing was a cover to get some guy out.
Yes, and then right away, like, we meet John David Washington, and he's like talking to someone, and he's like, "We're gonna get you," and like, you can't hear what he's saying. I was like, okay, this character, I'm following him.
Yeah,
there's this guy,
but you can't really see who's who.
Yeah, it's quick cuts, a lot of more handheld than you'd usually get from a Nolan movie, I'd say.
Yeah.
They get a guy, they get him out,
but they get caught.
Yeah, but it was a
test.
See, even now it hurts.
Yeah,
it hurts to think
let's stay away from that.
I'd like to go through the events very quickly.
No, it's too much.
All right, ready? I want a 10-second summary from you. 3, 2, 1, go.
Opera scene. It turns out to be a test. John David Washington then gets a mission to figure out what Tenet means. Figures out things are getting inverted. He follows the bullet pattern. Turns out people are getting inverted, and then next thing you know, you can reverse entropy in the world as we know it will die.
Right. And they have to stop this man from inverting. Well, the people in the future want to invert their entire world to avoid climate change. Or he says the river runs dry.
Yes.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah,
like, that plot, fantastic.
They mentioned like the grandfather paradox, where it's like, if I go back in time and kill my grandfather, will I be born? Yeah,
or how are you even there to do it if you're about to kill? Yeah,
exactly. But it doesn't matter, because that's what the people in the future aren't thinking about that.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care.
Neither does Chris about explaining what's going on. And then what struck me immediately was like the pace of the scenes and the fact that the scene started mid-scene.
Yeah.
He's this character that you never learn his name, the main character.
The protagonist.
He is basically given this mission. Here's one word, Tenet. It's going to open doors for you. And then you're basically going to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Who's hiring him? You never really learn.
That first like 20, 30 minutes, he's just jumping from place to place. But like you said, like it's mid-scene.
Yeah.
The editing, the pacing was all over in the first hour.
He's gaining more knowledge. He's a very capable... he's tough.
Yeah.
He's got that soldier background, so he's kind of like merciless.
Yeah.
He's trying to get information. He's following a sort of bread trail. And then he ends up meeting Michael Caine's character, who bought a piece of art.
No.
Or sold a piece of art.
No. He knew about the art.
He knew about the art.
Wait, you don't like art?
You knew about the art and how this woman sold a piece of art that was counterfeit
to her husband.
Just
to kind of like slight him.
Yeah, but now he's using that as blackmail to keep her as basically a prisoner.
Yeah.
Because it's like illegal what she did.
I think.
And then he finds her and he's trying to get to this guy.
Yeah, this Russian guy.
Because he is... How does he know that he's selling this stuff?
The Indian arms dealer.
The lady, yeah.
Yeah, she linked them.
Okay, yeah. So he goes to her place. Robert Pattinson just appears. He's working with him. You never see him get recruited or anything. Just meets him in a lobby, talking about random things.
Sick as fuck. Though.
Soda water and
Oh, that's why he knew. Oh shit.
When he said no, you don't. I thought he was just saying like everyone likes fucking pop more. Like, who are you kidding?
But he knew.
Right.
Or Tenet.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. I don't know how much of the plot we can try and go through. Like it's helpful to understand what's going on. But basically, this is like one of the hardest movies I've ever seen to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like even if there was an airtight plot, and even if
like ultimately, I believe that it's airtight.
yeah, but it's the way he presented it. So I've written down some points here. The sound mixing, obviously, you're gonna read about it, you're gonna hear about it, and yes, it is as bad.
It's not
as
overhyped.
It's fucking. You don't know what's going on. When if I watch this again, subtitles are going on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If the caption company receives the information, Chris, because I don't think he.
It was insane. I thought it was just me, and I was getting really frustrated. We touched on the editing.
It was a frustrating viewing experience because it makes you feel really stupid.
Yeah, it makes you feel really dumb. And I bet you Chris probably gets off on that.
Yeah. I'm so smart.
The editing we touched on.
Yeah.
My next one here is the dialogue. So the conversations between characters just sounded so fake.
Yeah, it did.
That's not even. I haven't even gone into the whole. It's all exposition thing.
A lot of exposition.
Just the conversations between them. It was just like when she calls him and he's like, "I knew you'd call," and he's like chatting with her, and I was like, "John David Washington, you're so smooth," but like he's got a word for every reply. And it's insane.
It was what was really strange to me is it felt, and I'm gonna really try and articulate what I think most people's issue with this movie will be. It's almost like Christopher Nolan would be too bored to make a regular movie. He's on such an advanced plane when it comes to story structure and storytelling that he's just like he's making like 5D movies. He's so far ahead that he doesn't care about like the normal due diligence a film has to do. Establish the characters, let's learn about the world, take our time. People change the character arcs. Like, he doesn't care about that stuff. He doesn't put it in the script. He just kind of
he's
skips
like, hey,
over
I got
it.
this sick idea and I want to do some cool shit with it.
And I want to play with time in a new way and present it to you in a visually interesting way you haven't seen before. And I'm all for that, but you have to do a little bit of the legwork.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care about John David Washington's character.
No.
I don't understand why he's infatuated with this woman.
Yeah, that was weird.
That he has one conversation with, and he's willing to bet the future of the universe on her.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my argument, or like how I took that was like because he kind of screwed her over by lying about the painting.
Yeah, but like you've been hired like for a top secret mission.
Yeah.
Like you
and everyone was just down to fucking reverse to save her life too.
Yeah, and like you just don't learn anything about like who these people are. Like you just meet characters and they're fully established and they're like, oh, we got to steal this piece of art, and then they're in the gallery getting a tour. You know,
I kind of like that.
That's like maybe that's one example where it wasn't too bad, but then like you have all the resources, you have. Oh man, like it's hard to explain. It really is. So what things did you kind of like about the movie?
I really enjoyed the opening scene.
Right.
You had mentioned that he's got a great run. John David Washington.
John David Washington's got a great run.
So you can kind of feel the franticness there. I love the Freeport scene, the heist kind of.
Yeah, when they crash the plane into the
exactly, and then I love the payoff of it.
I knew you knew you were gonna see it in reverse at some point.
I knew like when they started fighting, you knew it was him.
Yeah.
It
was quite obvious.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And then
especially when you knew something was up. When I knew that Robert Pattinson knew what was happening when he's like, "Oh, I took care of the other one."
Yeah.
He keeps it super stum.
Yeah. I did enjoy the car chase scene.
Yeah, it went on a bit.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, this is quite long.
Like I pretty much named the three main action scenes. The one scene I didn't like was obviously the climax because by that point, like I was so frustrated that I couldn't understand what was going on in this movie. I just didn't understand the stakes. I didn't understand what they were doing.
And you made a great point about like how loosey-goosey they are with the actual inverted rules. So when he first learns about the concept, it's here's a bullet, here's an inverted bullet, and then he like flies to his hand. And she's like, oh, you have to have like done it.
Yeah, exactly. And she even mentioned, she's like, yeah, there's certain objects, but we don't know what else they can do.
Yeah, and she even said to him, she's like, don't try and understand it.
Yeah.
And I was like...
And then the next scene, you're just seeing inverted people running backwards. And it's just like, how do we go from bullets to people? And I still don't really know what's going on.
Yeah. And there's like this one little mask rule where like you can't breathe air when you're inverted. Yeah. So you have to like wear an oxygen mask. And there were some great moments when he's first getting used to it. And it's like backdraft friction. It's all inverted. But you never, and he's like, oh, and then driving is extra difficult because it's all reversed.
Yeah, but it's still.
But is the car part of the rule now? Like,
yeah, and like we were talking, like if someone inverted and walks by me, would I see them moving backwards? Because there was a lot of like
when people weren't taking notice of it.
Exactly, there's a lot of like inverted people in public spaces, so it's like,
Yeah.
wouldn't everyone see this?
Yeah, it's like I want to say sloppy and careless, but it's so hard to like use those words towards this film when it's clearly so sophisticated in other areas. So it's almost like it shoots itself in the foot with like a reverse bullet.
Nice.
Yeah, they make the point that getting hit with the reverse bullet's worse.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with the radiation.
And then she has to be healed in reverse because then like slowly they took her when she's dead.
I didn't get that.
And then they inverted her, so it's like technically like,
I thought they like moved her back in time, so they bought more time for her to heal.
Yeah, and then okay, I want to talk about a few more things I liked before we start ragging more. I liked Kenneth Branagh's character. I was calling him out before this movie, saying I just wanted like a dynamic, versatile performance, and I got it. I thought he was very menacing.
I just didn't really know his motive, to be honest.
Yeah, he was just a nasty piece of work,
Yeah.
and I've never really seen him play a character like that.
Yeah,
and
okay,
I
yeah.
appreciated that.
Okay.
The accent was like really solid. He felt powerful. I was like, this is a man with lots of connections. So he was probably my favorite character in the movie for some reason.
Really? Oh, mine
Yeah, like when he came,
Pats for sure.
when he came into his wife's room and he's like, we're gonna talk.
Oh,
Just like the
yeah.
way he was taking his cufflinks off and
Yeah.
like he was very imposing, and I'd like to see more of him like having fun with kind of roles like that.
Okay.
I liked the it sounds kind of weird, but I liked the violence. I think it was Chris Nolan's most violent movie so far. There was blood,
I mean,
which his other movies didn't have. When she killed Kenneth Branagh and she like pushed him off, you saw his like back break.
Oh,
when they hit
yeah.
That's not very Nolan like.
but the climax, there was like people were just shooting blanks. It was like a little paintball fight.
Yeah, it felt like a paintball scene, which was really bizarre. You never really learn who they're fighting.
Yeah, and you don't really like see the bad guys.
No.
You see a lot of people running and
It was
hiding.
weird, really strange that he decided to do that. And then the ultimate climax between these two characters, you got your protagonist and was it Sator or
Yeah. Oh.
yeah, you've got these real character foils. They've really grown a dislike towards each other, and yet their last conversation like all takes place on a phone.
And you can't hear half of it.
And you can't hear half of it, and you don't know what's going on. And there's a dead person, and then he springs to life.
Yeah,
opens the gate.
But I didn't know who that was.
Don't know who it was. No,
Was it Aaron Taylor Johnson? No, it wasn't because he survived. Was it?
no. Like, was it Kenneth Branagh?
I thought it was our Pats at first, but then
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I just
because he was wearing red, so how could he have?
and then, yeah, like another friend that I work with saw it yesterday, and I had to pretend I was like, oh yeah. I had no idea what he was talking about. He said that the scene they go back to is when Kenneth Branagh is a kid and first finds like a gold bar, and that's how he starts his whole like empire.
No. They showed that in the flashback. The scene they went back to was when they find the last piece of the algorithm.
No, but that's where they buried it in the past. So even though that
all the pieces were there. No, it wouldn't make any sense, dude. Because Kenneth Branagh was still present time on the phone call, on the boat.
Oh.
They didn't go that far back in time. They
Okay.
didn't go like 40 years back in time.
Okay, what was the thing with the gold bar?
That's how Kenneth Branagh made his fortune.
Right.
He found the first piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, like that's how lost I am in this movie. You could tell me anything.
I'm looking at your face right now. You just pure
You could tell me
confusion.
anything with conviction and I'd believe it. You could tell me that Kenneth
Yeah,
Branagh is John
honestly,
David
I feel
Washington's
like
dad.
we're like taking a bit of a risk right now to like come out and say we don't really know what was going on. Like this could spell the end for before and after the movie.
Yeah,
Like, these guys
I
just
feel-
shit on this movie just because they didn't get it.
I
But
feel defeated
yeah,
by the movie because I feel like you understand it like more than I do.
a little bit, yeah.
Like,
But also like near the end there in the climax, like I was not engaged as much as I wanted to be. And
No.
I was just like, I don't really know what's going on. There's just
and I don't really
people
care.
running backwards.
Yeah.
And like Aaron Taylor Johnson does a great exposition scene to explain the mission, but you can't hear it.
Yeah. And
You
even
can't
when
hear
it was like I was telling you because there's the red team and the blue team, and I think I figured out why they did that. It was so they were guaranteed success because each team were communicating what just happened to the other team.
Okay.
So Should we go through some of the predictions?
I don't think we really had any predictions, to be honest.
I did say
You said the Dom
a
Cobb
mathematical
thing.
formula.
Was it a formula? Or was it like a physical thing?
Well, isn't that what an algorithm is?
Yeah, I guess.
We don't really learn what it is or how it works. Classic Nolan. The dream technology, you never really learn how it works. You don't really learn about how like the interstellar ship does what it does.
Yeah, like
He just tells you the
I asked
rules.
the fast questions like who, how, or what is Tenet?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what it is?
Tenet's an algorithm.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought it was like
An organization in the future.
I thought it was like John David Washington or Aaron Taylor Johnson's Team Tenet.
Dude, I don't know, man. I think it's just like a colloquial term.
Here's what we do know. In movies,
I get sad when I think about this movie.
in sci-fi movies, there's usually two sciences of time travel. There's the stepping on a blade of grass alters everything,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the what's happened has happened.
And this is the what's happened
This
has
is
happened.
what happened has happened.
Yeah, because he tries to change time by going back in time to chase after Kenneth Branagh,
Yeah, but
and then he just realizes he becomes the flipped car that he saw on the way.
and he's the one who handed him the final piece or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because he just came to the car and got it, right?
Yeah. We're getting
Yeah,
it.
but then why?
I keep getting so close, and then I just
why would
lose it.
Kenneth Branagh not kill him then and there? Just left him in the burning car, and then he was also naive enough to fall for the switch, the old switcheroo with his wife.
Yeah, so that's the other thing.
And it's like, yeah, you're this guy who probably has the best grasp.
Yeah,
of-
exactly.
of
You have the
Tenet.
most knowledge of inversion and how it works.
Yeah.
You're talking to John David Washington right now as he's at your base, trying to fuck up your algorithm.
Yeah.
You're with your wife who's suddenly acting so nice to you.
Yeah, but then that's what you said to me yesterday. But now I'm getting ridiculed for not realizing that was a time when his wife probably was being nice to him.
No, because he had already asked the question. He was like, I'll let you go free, but you can never see your son again. And then they leave.
So he was most happy with his wife. Maybe
Yeah.
she still wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's like,
And then she's like, oh.
he's like, I gotta call my son back. He's like, oh, it's weird. They thought they saw you on the boat.
Yeah.
And it's like, buddy, you're talking to John David Washington right now. You're gonna be a bit suspicious.
Yeah. And yeah, he like turns around and lets her put old sunscreen on his back.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I'm not ready to die yet.
And he's like
Pain
talking
scene.
so she can hear. Like,
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't know what I'm saying, do you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's
Yo,
like,
just
"Oh,
business
no,
talk."
I'm just a dumb wife.
Yeah.
But she wasn't.
There was yeah, the dialogue was just so difficult, man.
Yeah, I was just reading that Nolan spent over 5 years writing this screenplay.
I read on IMDb trivia,
Mm-hmm.
not sure how reliable it is. Kenneth Branagh, like during the
Didn't know if he was the good guy or the bad guy?
no
Okay.
during the COVID shutdown, like when it first happened, they didn't know if they were going to be able to finish the movie because it was in the editing process. And Christopher Nolan was so determined that he like slashed the editing room from 11 people to 5. Everyone wore masks, so maybe he cut the sound mixer.
I was going to say maybe he made Kenneth Branagh the sound mixer. I mean, leave you in here, figure it out.
Fun.
YouTube tutorial. It'll do. Put it out.
Yeah, it's okay. So we didn't talk about the Michael Caine scene, which apparently is super important because he explains the explosion.
Right.
But Michael Caine just looked uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's just like I get that he's kind of like your lucky charm and you want to put him in all your movies, but I saw an interview with Michael Caine about 7 years ago saying he was retired, and you can kind of see why.
I don't think we can blame that one on the sound mixing.
Both in tandem. It's just, you must realize what I was doing.
I'm sorry, Christopher. I forgot my lines again.
That's okay, Michael. I'm gonna try it again. Have the ta-ta.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So we talked about how it went from bullets to people instantly with zero explanation.
Yeah.
He must have been really, really set on because he loves his time gimmicks, right? Even in Dunkirk, he played with time a
Played
bit.
with time big time in that movie.
So now he's got this huge gimmick, and he just doubled down on it.
Yeah, I hope this is the end of Nolan's romanticism with playing with time and the structure of his screenplays.
Do you think Warner Brothers is gonna hand him another blank check for his next film?
I think this time they'll be a bit cautious.
Yeah.
Like, you're still Nolan, but like,
Why don't you do an adapted screenplay?
yeah, we're gonna do. We've got this really nice graphic novel we want you to read.
How about we do the
Get
Watchmen?
this out of my face. We've got a movie. It's 10 minutes long. It's just an entire movie sped up into 10 minutes.
Let's do The Flash.
Yeah.
Chris, please take The Flash.
I just think that this is maybe... I don't want to like say anything too bad, but I think it's maybe... This movie's a bit of like a... bit of an ego... He's a bit of an egomaniac with this movie.
He took it a bit too far. He jumped the shark, if you will.
I understand everything so well. I'm just going to make the most confusing movie ever, so no one can figure it out, and I can just sort of sit on my like director's chair throne.
God, I hope we don't sound like a bunch of dummies in,
Yeah,
in 2 weeks when the Tenet Explained YouTube videos go
Yeah,
out.
like, and I'm sure that like this movie's going to gain... It seems impossible that I just don't want to rewatch it right now. I'm so not ready. But I feel like we'll read some more stuff.
Yeah.
I'll end up watching the movie again.
With subtitles. I think for me right now, the most frustrating thing was just the inability to hear the dialogue. I feel like if I could hear it, it'd probably go up to like a 7 or an 8.
Yeah, and like as time goes on, maybe we'll really learn to love this movie. I think all great pieces of cinema or like art in general are controversial in some way. They're not just supposed to like, you know, pat you on the back. Here's a nicely wrapped bow.
We talked about that actually with Inception.
Right.
He made you think, but you were able to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it made you feel pretty smart. You're
It
like,
did.
oh, it's because of the layers, like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And this one is just like, I just can't. I cannot.
It was like Inception on steroids. As overused that expression is, it really was.
But there was a line Aaron Taylor Johnson mentioned at before the climax. He's like, if you're still thinking linear on that helicopter, then you don't know where you are. And I was like,
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I am thinking linear.
There were some great things like that. You need to start finding a new way to look at the world, and then he gets her with it later on. And remember, he says that thing. She's like, "Oh, you really are like picking this up."
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
When he first meets the Indian arms dealer,
and then he goes.
She's
back.
like, "You need to think of a new way to look at the world." And they meet up way later,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "I don't even know you yet. Like, I'm not. You're not supposed to know me."
Yeah.
And he drops like something epic on her.
And he kills her at the very end.
Yeah, no, not then though.
Oh, okay.
She's like, "Oh, like you really are like seeing the world differently."
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. It's, well, you really are seeing the world differently. Yeah, and at the end,
he gives her a phone before she goes to.
she's like, it's like a flip phone.
Yeah, he's like, you call that number or anything, and then she calls it. She's like, probably something weird, probably nothing. So then he goes to that point in time. If you start thinking about it like that, instead of this whole inversion thing, if you start thinking about how he's able to travel through time to go to certain places, it makes a bit more sense.
But he
Where
can't.
you get
He can't travel. He can't like pick a time and go.
No, he has to
get there
live
linearly.
through that time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's just kind of weird because you don't really have that much. You can't just be doing that for long. You can't just be like, "Oh, I'm going to go back to before she knew me."
Yeah,
that's like
I'm going to go back 7 years, but it means you have to
it's
sit.
It's going to take me
wait
7 years to get there. Yeah.
So
So, what time was that in that ending scene? Was that after all their adventuring, or was that earlier before he?
I don't know. I don't know. Was Kenneth Branagh alive then? I don't know.
Yeah, because it seemed like it almost hinted that he had like changed time. Like so she's never gonna meet Kenneth or any of that stuff. Oh, she had the son, so impossible. I'm done with Tenet, man.
It was a bit of a misstep for Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, I don't think this is one of his.
We're a couple of Nolan fanboys, so it's a bit difficult for me to say that.
I don't think this is his best work. Complex doesn't equal best.
Yeah.
At least with Inception, yes, it was a complicated movie, but it had a lot of heart and soul.
It did, yeah.
You cared about Dom. You believed in his love for his wife. You really cared about Ellen Page's character. It was white knuckle. You were into it. There was an objective. This is like, I just knew stuff was going to happen, and I had no say or influence or like part in it. I was just watching Nolan like
corny dialogue, poor editing, horrible sound design,
skipping fundamental rules of filmmaking in terms of making you care about the characters, needs, wants, objectives, all that stuff.
If you're gonna do a complicated plot, give the audience something that we can start to piece it together ourselves. The score was very good. I loved it.
Yeah, the score was really cool.
Yeah,
there were some really good moments.
Any thoughts on the Travis Scott song at the end there?
You know, I was so ready to leave the theater.
You instantly got up.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, sit down and enjoy the song. And you started just walking backwards out of the theater.
Yeah. I will listen to the song when I've had a few days to like stop sulking over how stupid I am.
That's the other thing, actually. I remember, like, with after Interstellar and Inception, like, just like when we did the recap show, Kyle mentioned it about how you just talked about it. You talked about it over and over again. It just dominated your thoughts.
Yeah.
At work today, fucking Tenet didn't cross my mind.
I didn't want to talk about it.
Sometimes I get little flashes of inversion. I'm like, oh, do I get it? No.
Yeah,
Nope, I don't.
It's a dumb movie.
Okay, be careful.
No, yeah, I take that back. It wasn't a dumb movie. I'm just dumb.
It was unnecessarily complicated, and you couldn't hear anything. I'm gonna keep harping on that. You couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, I also thought that the cinematography like wasn't the best.
I'm pretty tainted by that climax scene where it's just like things were blown up in forward.
It looked
time.
like a set.
Yeah, things were blown up in reverse, but there's no humans around.
Yeah, it looked like a big old set.
Yeah,
that they just
pieces of rubble
found in like some I don't know what country it was shot in.
Like New Mexico.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, we got this big plot of land, make some buildings out of like plywood and styrofoam.
It would have been nice if the movie ended at the opera and Kenneth Branagh was
at the opera. I can't believe we didn't go
his
there.
Most famous. Okay, so we did go there. At near the end, they like went through that because they had to get back like 2 weeks.
I don't get it. We didn't see it twice.
Yes, we did.
Before that whole set piece.
Yes, it was like a 10-second, not even 5 to 10 seconds, where they're like walking on the stage and they're dressed as like the terrorists.
Right.
Yeah.
What were they doing there?
I don't know. I missed that because I couldn't hear the dialogue, but I think the last piece of the algorithm was there. I think.
Right. So the first time at the beginning of the movie, when we're seeing that happen in the Opera House, we have our John David Washington who's just doing his thing. Where's second John David Washington?
He's the one who is destroying the instruments in the pit.
Right.
Yeah.
Why would he be doing that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they did mention something about the opera and how it plays into it.
It's almost like Chris Nolan doesn't care. So why should we?
I think you're just saying that because you don't get it.
Yeah, like I'm gonna set. Maybe we'll have to do a third part to this podcast at some point when we're
gonna revisit Tenet, episode 20, revisiting Tenet.
I'd be down because at this point I sound like a bit of a hater, and I think it's just because I'm frustrated.
No, that's fair. And Mr. Nolan, Chris, if you're listening, like feel free to drop us a line. We'd love to have you on. You
really would. You can explain yourself.
For sure.
We're gonna put you through the question ringer.
Yeah, put you through the fucking grinder.
Yeah. All right, and maybe it's also because there was this big hold on the movie experience for so long, so it's almost like you need to be like warmed up again. That was like a midsummer, like you've been hitting the movies every week. You're ready to go.
Yeah, we weren't in.
You tore through No Time to Die. You shredded Wonder Woman. Black Widow was a piece of cake, and you're like, bring on fucking Tenet. And it's just been baby movies.
Yeah. We skipped the baby food. We just went straight to the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, it was kind of like I felt like a 5-year-old who was given like Modern Warfare 3 and was like, "Go," and you're like, "Oh, which button's which? Like, where am I going?" It was like that. I felt like I was writing a test I didn't study for.
Oh my god! All
right, that was Tenet.
Well, if you enjoyed two idiots talking about Tenet. Please subscribe.
All the great explainer content that's going to be out there. People's going to be, I want to understand Tenet more. Let me throw this on.
Let's go before and after the movies. They always break it down. Just us complaining about how stupid we are and how complicated it is.
What's coming out next?
I think.
What's the protocol?
The Kingsman just got delayed.
Yeah, I saw
that X-Men movie.
The New Mutants.
Do we want to watch that?
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
I've
heard good things. Nice one location, linear plot.
In a house.
Some powers.
Project Power.
I'm down, man. Anything that's not this fucking complex shit. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening. I've been Aman.
I'm Yuntana. See you later.